One nation, green, white, green.
Yes, so
that's the color of Nigeria.
Nigeria, and that's the color that we're all proud of.
And it shows, the greenery, the peace that we are supposed to be enjoying. And we're looking forward to that time that when we look at the flag, we really say, yes, we have this white that, depicts peace, and the green that shows that our land is really rich in culture, in everything.
Yeah, certainly. And so we talk about 27 years of democracy and the cost of securing the republic. At what cost do we secure this republic? Nigeria marks 27 unbroken years of democratic rule. It's a milestone. We all know that, worth celebrating. But the atmosphere across the nation remains deeply tense, and we all know why. In his Democracy Day address, President Bola Tinubu declared that democracy without security is simply a mirage. And to back that statement, his administration has rolled out a historic 5.41 trillion naira defense and security budget. But as billions leave the public treasury, mass kidnappings continue to strike our communities, most recently stealing school children away in Oyo and, of course, in Borno State. And we asked the critical question this morning for our panel of security experts is simple. Why is the highest security spending in Nigerian history failing to buy everyday safety for the Nigerian citizen? Today we start with a look at the true cost of securing the republic. And we have joining us this morning Colonel Yomi Dare, retired Colonel Yomi Dare, security consultant and strategic affairs analyst. He joins us via Zoom. We also have Dr. Oyewole Ogini, senior researcher, Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies, also joining us online. Yakubu Datti, chairman, Federal Polytechnic, Ayede, and former Commissioner of Information, Plateau State, joining us from our Abuja studios. Gentlemen, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much for inviting me. And happy Democracy Day.
Right. Yeah. So we ask, let me start from our studios in Abuja. Mr. Datti, we're celebrating 27 years of democracy in the country, unbroken democracy. We see it as a milestone. But, we're talking about the cost of securing the republic. What are your thoughts about the recent happenings in the country? I say recent, but it's not really strange. It's just that what is happening now, the banditry and kidnappings are entering new territory. We've had them in the past in other parts of the country. So what do you think about, the cost of securing the Nigerian Republic? At what cost do we have this republic? Mr. Datti.
Thank you very much, Joke Yomi, for this opportunity. I think the cost must also be looked at with the benefits and milestones that have been achieved so far. You recall that there was a time in this country where flags of terrorists were hosted in certain local governments in the country. But today, not one is being hosted, and that goes to credit to the this administration for ensuring that they put the money where the action is. And I must also commend Mr. President for this inspiring Democracy Day speech, where he emphasized the bond, or the responsibility of this generation. Like he said, every generation has a responsibility. The founding fathers had a responsibility to bring independence. The June 12th generation had a responsibility to enthrone democracy, and this generation has a responsibility to move on prosperity. And so much is going on, and we are happy with the Supreme Court judgment empowering the 774 local governments to get direct funding. That in itself is an achievement, because the local governments have councillors, and we are beginning to see, hoping that the developments will go deep down into the local government, into the wards where these issues matter most. So I believe that a lot has been going on. A lot of the insurgents have been degraded, a lot have been exterminated, and the security forces are making progress in spite of the toll of heavy prices they are paying. In fact, you need to know what is happening, especially with our security men who have lost their lives, how their families are faring. These are people that have paid supreme price for the growth and strength and progress of this country. And I'd like to also add that we have winning stories like Plateau State, where Governor Mutfwang has instituted what you call the state police in the the name of Operation Rainbow. So I want to take this opportunity also to thank the National Assembly for passing the police bill, and gradually I believe that there are also structures on ground like Operation Rainbow that exists in Plateau will transmute into the state police, and that will strengthen local vigilance, and that will strengthen local first respondents at the local government level, at the ward level. And by the time we empower these local governments to have direct funding, we'll be able to checkmate, because it's at that level. You have the grassroots, you have the councillors, you have the chairmen, you have the traditional rulers, and by the time you empower them, they will be able to know the strange faces that are coming into their communities and also contribute to ensuring that we govern the so-called ungoverned spaces.
Thank you, Mr. Dati. Let me come to Colonel Yomi Dare. Good to see you, sir. Mr. Dati said that insurgents have been largely degraded. There is no flag hoisted anywhere by non-state actors in Nigeria. But what would you say is accounting for this almost every day, every other time, kidnappings, killings, and abductions, in most parts of Nigeria, as we may think now?
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank you, Yomi, and the vibrant team of Channels Television for organizing this interview and for inviting me to be part of this auspicious occasion, celebrating 27 years of unbroken democracy. We all agree that 27 years since the military, since the military stepped down and handed over power to the civilian regime, precisely on the 29th of May, 1999. This is the longest that we've had an unbroken, democracy, in spite of the challenges that we face as a nation. Well, there's no way that we can celebrate, this democracy without the mention that we face a lot of security challenges in our nation, and unfortunately, what we are experiencing is not a conventional kind of insecurity. It is a guerrilla type of warfare, and that which it's very, very new to us here, and it's something that it's not a dash. It is a marathon. It is a marathon that we have to continue to manage as we speak, because what we are facing is terrorism. And when the terrorists, when they start to act, you don't even know whether the man next door is part of this shenanigan. So they are embedded. They have their cells all over. Apart from the ones that operate from their bases in the forests, they have their cells all over. And yes, we must commend the federal government that efforts have been made. Efforts have been made at very huge costs. Huge costs, look at the humongous amount of money that is being deployed or that's been allocated to security. Even right now, you listen to the president's speech, look at the amount of money, 5 trillion plus.
Colonel Dari, pardon me, let me come in here. Yes, we know this humongous amount of money being used or earmarked for defense and security in Nigeria. But the results that we see, is it commensurate with that kind of money that we have seen? Or what really is the challenge?
Well, that's a very difficult one, I must admit, because the way, especially when almost every day, we have security situations all over. In the last 24 hours, we've had, attacks in Gumbi community in Adamawa State, where students, were having, a friendly football match, and terrorists just came from nowhere and started shooting sporadically, killing and adopting students. We have cases in Kayama, where right now the government has been given a week, about 176 people are in captive. Is it the one in Rio, where government went and killed the pastor and adopted 2 of his children? Is it the one in Kogi State, where they attacked an orphanage? So what we're saying is that there's still a lot that needs to be done. I'd advise that, yes, a lot of money is being allocated to defense, but there's also the need for us to ensure that there is accountability and transparency in the way and manner these funds are being spent, and because what is most important here is that no amount of money that will be deployed if certain things are not taken care of. When I mean certain things, as we speak, we have a lot of infrastructural deficiency. In this country, in the 21st century, we still have villages that are not even motorable. Vehicles can't get there. And that's why one of the reasons why we're having serious security challenges. The bandits, the terrorists, what they move, their main form of mobility is a motorcycle. They've mastered it and they know the routes. But the security forces, where they are deployed, most of those places, when things happen, before they have access to those locations, these bandits must have committed, all the atrocities that they need to commit, and they just disappear.
Right. Yeah, apologies. Thank you for that submission, and it was really heartbreaking, really. The picture we're painting this morning and the picture that you have painted of all the, the latest attacks, even the ones that, we didn't get to hear about immediately. And, when the president talked about the amount of money voted for security spending, Colonel Dari, I have a feeling that, we had, some intelligence about where these kidnappings and insecurity, where they were taking place before, where they were, but now that these activities, terrorist activities and banditry activities are spreading across the country, I'm not so sure that these monies will be sufficient, and with the infrastructure deficiencies that you have painted, it makes it all the more dire. If I could come to you, Dr. Oyewole Ogini, what do you think that the government should be, using this security budget, to do? We've had, many analysts and many commentators say that we've not seen what the money is doing. Even ordinary citizens like us. When we opened, Yomi said something that we don't even know. Everybody's still scared to get on the road. You don't know if you get on the road one day, what could befall you. So what kind of infrastructure, security infrastructure, do you think that the government should be putting in place to ensure the safety of lives and property?
Thank you for having me. And I will say, of course, happy democracy celebration to Nigerians. It's a moment of reflection for us as a country. I think the most important point to highlight is not the celebration or the number of election cycles. It's more or less how we consider security as a governance outcome rather than more or less security or military response. And in this case, you asked a very pertinent question on the infrastructure. As somebody who almost visited almost all the borders Nigeria has, whether from the northwest, central, east, or wherever, you could also see there that there are points of leverage. Maybe we should first look at this point of leverage and to see how we can scale it up. If you look at the borders, for example, Kayama area, where you have to travel with a not convenient road for several hours before you get there, definitely infrastructure is one point that we need to take into consideration. But then, this will be a gradual stuff if we want to dedicate so huge resources into armed drone surveillance, and we overlook the aspect of community mediation, which can address certain things, and then we don't address the structural issue that could definitely prevent resurgence where possible. Unfortunately, I couldn't hear from the first speaker who mentioned there is no hosting of flag. I would say more than hosting of flag, terrible things are happening in other places, and it's very important to highlight this, that it's not just hosting of flag. And why this insurgency very important, and why it's actually a dilemma, or I can say a challenge to our democracy, is when you look at, for example, Al-Qaeda linked group. Last year, the federal government of Nigeria were able to capture Mahmouda. That was around between June and August 2025. And everybody celebrated that, the Al-Qaeda link network has been decapitated and nothing happened. I was in the field in February, and I happened to have access to, document almost 55 pages that I translated, where this group says their goal is basically they hate anything National Assembly. They don't even want it. Because the National Assembly, when they want to pass law, they have to bow down like this, and they think that is against apostasis. So they don't want anyone to associate with the government. They don't want any representation of government, and this is the core goal of this group. So which means they don't want anything, any sort of democracy. So this brings to the cost, because I want to highlight very briefly what are the costs: economic costs, the farming, the agricultural product, the motorable road, even those ones that we can still pass is not safe. That increase the cost of transportation. You could see over the long period, the rich people take flight, the poor people have to suffer on the main road. Investors are avoiding high-risk area. This is very important. In terms of human costs, you could see trauma at the community level. You could see mistrust, and this is a big issue. Then at the governance level, and this is where it's a bit very complicated, because if you look at it, when insurgents are mediating, Lakrawa emerged to protect, to fight a banditry, and then they adjudicate, they address land dispute and all sorts of things, thereby providing a sort of alternative governance. This decreases the confidence of people in democratic institutions. When democratic institutions fail to reduce violence, to provide livelihood, and then it's a real problem. I think this is what we should talk when we talk about the broader cause of insecurity. Then talking of the resources channeling into this, of course, there are a lot more that needed to be done when it comes to even security-wise. If you look at the forest area where this armed group passes through, of course, many of them are not motorable, but they've been abandoned for a long period of time. So, and that's why when we got to the discussion of whether forest guard is needed or not, I think I had a little pushback on the criticism on that, because most of the community we visited, they don't have military presence, they don't have state police presence, and then they don't also have forest guard who usually know those areas and who actually control this border. If you look at the border between Nigeria, Niger, and Benin, in Tulo area, in the Lolo area, in the Bagudu area, which link to Kayama. Even the issue of Oyo State, in January, there was attack in Orire local government where some group actually, attacked the forest guard, and they were able to take some weapon. That was January, before what happened 29 days or so ago. So what is important to know is that it's not just only about the infrastructure, but it's about the ability to really respond to crises, and that cannot happen when we don't strengthen our local administration. The local administration needs to be strengthened. We have to prioritize accountability to see which area in the security sector these funds are going into, and this is very important point that we need to talk about.
Right.
All right, strengthening local administration is one of the points that you have raised here. Let me go to Mr. Dati. You had mentioned earlier about the House of Representatives passing the state police, while of course the Senate has referred it to its Constitution Review Committee, the proposal. Some people have their fears. Of course, there is the advantage or advantages and disadvantages of having state police. One of the disadvantages that people are talking about is the fact that some governors may use this or weaponize this against voices that are against them. How do you think, while all of this debate is going on, how do you think, or some of the things that should be in that bill that we are hoping it will come to be law, what do you think should be there to ensure that some of the excesses that could come from misuse or weaponization of that state police, they are addressed?
Well, thank you very much, Yomi. First and foremost, like I said, I need to commend the National Assembly for the bill, especially which was initiated by Mr. President himself to see to the birth of the state police. In practice, most of the states, who are the ones that control even the police in the states? They're usually the chief security officers, who are the governors. But what the state police does is that it now reduces the command structure and time for response. Instead of waiting for the final clearance from the high command, the governor is there, he's there on the seat. He can easily reach out to the commissioner of police in the state and ensure that certain actions are taken. It's also very important as we carry out this discussion to note that what gives oxygen to these insurgents is the publicity they get. And that is why they look for soft targets that will give them maximal publicity. They look for school children. The other day they picked the PRO, a retired general of the Nigerian Armed Forces. They are looking at soft targets that will give them maximal security. So as much as we discuss what the insurgents that are happening, we should also be celebrating the success stories. Yesterday I just read in the papers how catch of arms and ammunition were seized from insurgents in one of the states in the southeast. We are also hearing stories of reintegration in Borno State, about 720 and about more than 1,000 of their spouses. There are success stories that we need to highlight, and we need to also reduce the publicity we give these insurgents, because that's the oxygen that drives these insurgents. And in all intents and purposes, apart from the cost and the money that is being deployed to security, what is also very, very key is the attempt by Mr. President to ensure that the local governments who have received nothing less than 20 billion in the past 3 years are also allowed to have access to their funding. And that itself will ensure that the money trickles down and every community has its own peculiarities. And by the time you strengthen that, you are also going to have a broader focus in terms of peculiarities in the local government areas. I also want to also state the efforts by the government in the area of forest guards. We know quite a number have been trained, and quite, the communities need to feed them, because those are the first respondents in each of the communities. And these are the forces that are trained specifically to go into the ungoverned spaces, which are the forests. And most of these people are people from those localities. So they will be able to add to the architecture of the security in those local areas. Don't forget that every crime is localized to the area it has. And first respondents are based in the locality. They exist. And that is why it's important that we should be able to have security presence in the 774 local governments, such that when people come on motorbikes, they cannot have free access and operate for hours without any resistance from the community. But the communities need to be funded. They need to be supported. And that is where the issue of ensuring the autonomy of the 774 local government areas in Nigeria is very key and important in adding to the security infrastructure in the country.
Come to you, Dr. Ogini. Mr. Dati has hit it right, on the head. Communities, should be involved in this security, in the protection of their own communities and their own people. And, yesterday we had the Covenant Nation hold its June 12 series on, Democracy Day series of the platform. And, the Minister of Defense was there, and, he spoke about security, and there was one thing that he said. He said, security is the responsibility of everyone. It's not about carrying weapons and defending yourselves, but it's about being aware and being alert about the people around you. And when there are strangers around you, you should know that they are strangers. And being giving information to security agencies such that they will be able to use that information to protect the communities. So how do you think, Mr. Dati's point, will get to that if, the communities are funded and empowered, especially, at the local government level, to ensure that they are parts of, this protection. They are part of the people giving information and ensuring that their communities are protected.
Thank you very much. I think a very important point that has been mentioned. What is important is that at the government level, the state government level are doing much disservice to the local government. The more they lay their hold, try to control local government, the less the possibility for the local people to have autonomy to actually channel their own development. So the more through political parties or through indirect means of appointing representatives to be local government administrator, control their financing indirectly, even if the constitution allow them. That is one of the problems, and that's the reason why you could see that the local government, as we see it now, is more or less symbolic than being actionable. And that's why if you look at there are some positive news in some local government that we visited, where you see the local government itself, administrator on the front to speak to the people. And what we see there is that people, the local people, trust this local government administrator. They share information, they supported them, and there are progress in that area. But what is important to know is that you cannot push responsibility to the community that you have not empowered. You have to empower this community. You have to develop trust. We have to make them to develop trust in the system. Then they can be a responsible citizen. And this is, for example, with regard to sharing of information. In many occasions, it is not that the community don't want to share information. In fact, there have been instances where they share information and that leads to reprisal attack to them. They want to feel secure. They want to feel secure in the sense that they want to make sure that when they share information, the government act on it, not just only acting after 2 weeks, acting immediately. They want to make sure that they are protected. They want to make sure that their identities are protected. They want to make sure that government's protection is steady, not intermittent, not episodic. And this is an important point that we need to highlight when we are pushing the responsibility to the local people. The local people are always ready. They are always ready to cooperate with the government. They are always ready to cooperate with the security operators. They are always ready when they know that their protection is guaranteed. And this is the point. I can start instances from Kayama down to Chikanda, down to Keyama, Kemaji, and many other places from north central down to northwest where have reported incidents of attack, reprisal attack as a result of this. Look, last 2 weeks in the Kara community, the traditional ruler received 2.3 million from the armed group to buy food for them. That's about 3 or 4 local government and local community heads, which also reported to the security. What is important to know is that if security don't go there and protect them, reporting that means the whole villages will be burnt down. So these are the instances that we have to look at. Thank you.
That is a dire situation, because if you ask people to come up with information about faces that they don't know in their communities and just to report to the police, and they don't get the protection that they should have, then as you said, there will be some consequences. Let me come to you, Colonel Dari. We see on TikTok, we see bandits, we see them, flaunting cash, we see them with their facial identity in the open. There's no hiding. We reckon that they use phones to communicate with people, asking for ransom, and it will seem as if we are not able to track them with this. What could be the challenge, and how can we use this technology in terms of intelligence gathering to ensure that some of these people who openly put it in our faces that yes, we are here, you come catch us, how can we indeed use some of this technology to get to them and ensure that they are captured?
Thank you very much, Yomi. That is a very, very, very critical point that we are confronted with right now. After all, we have all the service providers, the telecommunication companies. They're right here with us. And you see, in the course of our training, whilst our elementary stage in the military, that even the enemy also attended, the academy, the training, the military training that we have. So when you are thinking, you just have to also, juxtapose and put yourself, on the other side. That's something that everyone needs, to be bothered about. I've also sat down myself that, look, what the hell is going on here? They do TikTok. But the good news is that I think the government has started, clamping down on them. And I'm sure it's something that is work in progress. These are some of the things that you don't have to come over the television in the open to discuss, because some security things are classified, whether you like it or not, they are classified, And I think something is being done in that area. It's just unfortunate. Part of the problem that we have, and we have to call a spade by its name and nothing else, is corruption. As we speak, a lot of people are benefiting from even this dire situation that we are being confronted with. A lot of people, there's complicity across the board. There's complicity. So this has to be nipped. This has to be seriously addressed. My dear, the last speaker spoke, about Mr. Gillis spoke about the local government. Yes, government at all levels need to step up their game across the board. and especially at the local government level. At the local government level. I'm glad that the president has declared a state of security emergency. And this should be pragmatic. This should be practical. This should be seen, not just theoretical. People should be held to account. There must be transparency. It's not a situation whereby funds are made available. Yes, we'll be clamoring for autonomy for the local governments. So it's not a situation whereby funds are made available, and the next thing is the so-called people there, and rather than deploy the funds, for what they are meant for. Security votes are available at the federal, at the states, and even at the local government levels. These funds have to be used. Surveillance is very key. Intelligence. You must spend money. It's all investment. When the bandits are ready to recruit people on their side and give them money, we have restless youths all over. Unemployment. They are unemployed. So, I must not rule out the fact that in some communities, in some local government areas, the representatives are trying. They are engaging the youths. They are engaging other people as a vigilante, to help them. But the truth is that you have to spend money. You have to, you have to spend money such that people, and then there must be education. There must be mass education, because it's not the military alone. Both the kinetic and non-kinetic efforts, have to be deployed. The military alone cannot do it. As we speak, this has cost us so much in terms of cost, in terms of even the political will. Because when the people don't feel secured, then they undermine constituted authority. They resolve to self-help. And that is what is happening here. And what about the economy? Once upon a time, some people were called fruit baskets, or people grew their fruits. People were on the fields and all this. But right now, they can't even tend to their crops. Everybody, they have to run away for their dear lives. People are living in IDP camps, which should not be. As we speak, a lot of lives have been lost. Even the military, we've lost thousands, of military men. Is it the police? We've lost a lot of policemen. Is it the paramilitary? We've lost a lot of paramilitary too. And what about the civilians? A lot of lives have been cut short because of acts of terrorism. So there's need for us. It is everybody's business. I'm borrowing the words of the Chief of Defense Staff. Yes, security is everybody's business.
Indeed,
it's not just for the military. No.
Indeed, it is
when you see something, you say something. You say something.
Yeah.
So, but here we are, and talking about infrastructures. Yes, and in this day and age, almost every village, there must be roads to the village. Even if the roads are not tarred, there must be roads to the villages, such that when people need help, in case of emergency, or if so many emergencies, so many things can happen. What about the health? For health reasons too, Look at somewhere in Kogi State, students went to write exams. The bandits stormed the place, killed the vice principal, and then created mayhem.
Yeah, these are stories that really touch, the heart of so many Nigerians. We really don't want to continue to see, and that people just go to their place of worship, or you are in your house, or you're in the school, and you really cannot, be sure that you are safe. Now, talking about bandits on TikTok. Of course, the Senate had said that the security agencies, DSS, and the police cybercrime unit should look into that and make arrests. We are hoping that that would happen. But in the meantime, let me come to you, Dr. Ogini. We see on TikTok bandits doing giveaways to some Nigerians, and people actually sending their numbers, account numbers, to these bandits for giveaways. What does this say about, you know, the mindset of some people who perhaps they've lost hope in the government, and how do you think we can address this? This should be your final comment, please.
Yeah, thank you very much. Since it's my final comment, I will first say something that democratic transition should be about performance and not symbolic. And democracy that cannot protect its people risk becoming a shell. Having said that, a very important point you mentioned is that if you look at ISWAP have a different structure of recruitment. ISWAP creates small-scale business around the area they control, and they empower those people to be able to serve as their informants. So there are people who live in the local areas. You buy things from daily basis, and this is a point. The second point is there's a dilemma between stopping the means of financing terrorism and creating employment. If you look at ISWAP control the Lake Chad Basin fishing value chain. And if you go to Ibadan, where a lot of dry fish are sold, these fish come from those sides. Billions of naira are recruited from there. Then what needs to happen? Should government stop people from trading in fish in that area, or what should government do in these instances other than to deal with this hand group? So this is one part. In North Central Nigeria, the recruitment by Mahmudawa Group, based on my interview, they recruited people as far as Arit. Arit is in Niger. It's one of the areas that is controlled by mining site, uranium, and others. And what they gave them is 1 million CFA to say that they want to come from mining, and upon arriving in Nigeria, they handed over weapons to them. So at the local level, they give quite a lot of people money, especially those who bandits as, stop from going to farm. They don't have other means of livelihood. So this is one point. Then on the aspect of the digital one, when you look at how bandits try to do that, they also want to portray that they can do what government cannot do. And Nigerians generally, we are used to freebie. We have a very hardworking Nigeria, but we also have Nigeria who are also vulnerable to freebies. I think we need much more of sensitization, both at the local level, at the digital level. I think, yes, in the recent time, the Nigerian military have been working so hard on social media, Facebook and other, discussed quite a lot how they degrade this armed group. It's not just enough. The National Orientation Agency really need to work very hard. We have not seen so much from them. They need to work hard, work with the state level, work with local government, and work at different international and local partners to bring message of hope to the vulnerable youth who are also looking to government for something reasonable. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Mr. Dati, your final take on that same matter, Nigerians taking giveaways, monies from bandits. Some Nigerians.
That question. It's also important to state and commend the security forces, especially the DSS. Of recent, one of the bandits that will be flaunting on this TikTok has been arrested. Somebody named Yellow. I remember, but sometimes I wonder why some of these success stories do not get the kind of airtime that we give to activities of bandits. So there's a lot going on, and the security agencies are also on their trail and arresting them on a daily basis. Most also importantly is that, like I always commend the issue of the state police, the governors have the control of the local governments. The local government, in each local government you have 10 to 15 councillors who also are situated from their wards. You have supervisory council. I'm saying that because I've been a local government chairman. So averagely, you are talking about a structure in the local government that will bring in about 15,000 communities. So by the time you bring in this pool of people into the vision of the president that has to do with the forest guards, which involves getting people from the community, training them, you know, irrespective the youths, the native doctors, the babalawos, whatever they are. By the time they come and they are trained, you now cut down the problem that we have with these insurgents, which has to do with response time. So you don't have to call the command structure to send people. You already have people in the community who are trained, who can be the first responders and who can respond. And that is why I believe that the opportunity for the state police is an opportunity for the governors to begin to ensure that they trickle down the issue of recruitment into each and every ward in the local government, so that there is always a security man resident there, trained, that will provide the first response in terms of attack, instead of waiting for the command structure to call, and then they have to take permission. By the time they arrive, 3-4 hours, you have people on motorcycles loading children on motorcycles and taking off without any resistance. So those are also opportunities, and I'm happy that we have a good working model in Plateau State, where Governor Mutfang has empowered Operation Rainbow under retired General Shipi, and we are beginning to see such actions that are taking place where their recruitment is going deep into the local government. And I also want to state that the efforts by the National Security Advisor, No Ribadu, in training these forest guards needs to be improved upon, in such that the communities and the idea should not only, the training should not only be there, but it should be deployed to their communities, so that they become the first respondents in those communities, that they will be empowered. And when the governors are there, they have the chairman, they know where it's leaking. They live in the house, so they know where it's leaking.
Right.
We have a situation in Plateau where even a community that is bordering the military barracks were attacked, but the military could not respond because of the command structure.
Right.
In such a situation, the governor can easily say, look, the governor can easily call the chairman, what do you want, and he deploys immediately.
Right.
And you have already cells of security people in each of the communities that can be reactivated and respond immediately.
Right. I must thank you. We've completely run out of time, but thank you really for those thoughts. Robust conversation this morning with Mr. Yakubu Dati, the chairman, Federal Polytechnic, Ayede, and former commissioner for information, Plateau State. Thank you for joining us. He joined us from our Abuja studios. We have Dr. Oyewole Ogini, senior researcher, Bonn International Center for Conflict Studies. Thank you. He joined us via Zoom. And also retired Colonel Yomi Dare, security consultant.
I've not had my final words, Yomi.
But
we make it in 30 seconds.
Right.
I've not been able to.
Hello.
Right.
Hello, Colonel Dare. We can hear you now. Your 30 seconds is going.
Right.
Okay,
Unfortunately, we can't hear him. Let's just wrap up. I consider that as his final thoughts, really. Colonel Yomidari, I'm sure you'll be back to talk about these issues, but must thank you for your time this morning. Security consultant and strategic affairs analyst. Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us on the program and for your contributions.
And we'll take a quick break now. When we return, it will be time to look at how much of economic dividends democracy has delivered to Nigerians.
Stay with us.
Just stay with us.